Bpod Studios.
What's up? Ta-da! We're back with Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hello, massage? Complimentary massage.
No, we're good.
You're good? We have cold towel.
We're in the middle of the show. We're on air.
You massage, sir?
Let's go. Get off.
What's wrong, sir? It's complimentary.
We're on the air. Get out of here.
I'm very quiet. I have no problem, sir. It's okay, gentlemen. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's my fault. You're a man very strong. Very big muscle. Sir, I can give to you first.
I'm not interested.
Okay, you sure?
Get out of here.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's 98.5. The Sports Hub wraps up its coverage from Vegas. Did you see the picture that Zolak put up on social media?
Oh, the dinner party?
Yeah, it's funny. It's Bertrand, Zolak, Maz on one end of the table, Dennis, Capello, and Mary Mena, our general manager, all in the middle of the table. And then it's Felger and his wife.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, does she travel? Now, I thought she used to go to the Super Bowls because she was covering them for Fox, but she's retired from Fox. So does she just he likes having her around?
I think she still fills in, but I don't think she's out there working.
She ain't working out there. No.
She just travels and probably wants to spend some time in Vegas with her lover, as she refers to him.
That's right.
Lover.
Yeah.
Oh, she refers to him as her lover.
As lover. Hello,
Yes.
lover. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But now, would you want that? Would you
lover?
No. Would you want your wife traveling with you out to Las Vegas and everything else?
No. The one Super Bowl trip I was on, the one where I had to do the drive for 5 on the tour bus.
Oh, yeah.
It was me and Big Jim.
Oh, God,
and some
that sucked.
Patriots-
All right, tell
Patriots
people what the drive for 5 was, because this was the worst.
So this was when the Patriots played the Falcons in Houston, and they were going for their 5th championship. So the Patriots got a tour bus, which I believe had last been used by like Leonard Skinner or something. I don't know. It was a full band tour bus.
There was just eye patches and white crosses everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean it was a really nice bus. It had, like a kitchen up front and the sitting area, and then like 6 bunks to sleep in, 3 by 3, and then a big room in the back which was set up as a workroom for the Patriots media people. I think there were 3 Patriots employees, me, Big Jim, 2 drivers. And we left Boston like the Monday of Super Bowl week.
Mm-hmm.
No, the week before Super Bowl week. So it wouldn't have been like Monday of this week. It was the Monday of the week before. And went from here to New York, where we did like a fan rally and did like just, street bits and stopped at different places along the way, had Patriots fan rallies, had a huge one in Raleigh, North Carolina. A bunch of people showed up. Had a huge one in Atlanta, which, of course, was the team they were playing the Super Bowl, but nobody cares about the Falcons, the biggest fan rally we had.
Wait, there was a Wahlberg in there somewhere, wasn't there?
We stopped in New Jersey, hung out with Donnie Wahlberg, shot some video, did some bits, stopped at schools where Patriots players had played. Of course, I'm sure we went to Rutgers. I can't even remember. I think we went to the to Navy and went in the Bill Belichick library. Stopped at the high school where Malcolm Butler played. With Kevin Falk. We actually had a nice visit with Kevin Falk. Stopped in New Orleans and spent like a week on the road. And after being a week on the road, we got there, started working that week in Houston. And we were camped like 20 miles outside of town. You guys were staying at the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Like across from Radio Row.
Right. Yeah,
We were all stuck out at one of the team hotels out on what they called the energy corridor.
No, the best part about it was Zolak came in every single day and immediately got in all our faces and started complaining.
Yeah.
Why do you guys have to stay so close?
We're going on the air at 5.
There wouldn't be any traffic if you guys stayed 20 miles outside of Houston and you had to drive in.
No, yeah, but we had to be on the air at 5.
We tried to explain that to Zoe. Zoe wasn't having any of it.
Well,
he
that's
had
the
his
end
agenda.
That's the end of the argument. We had to be on the air at 5 o'clock in the morning.
You'd think it would be, but Zoe continued like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and would not let up.
Now, as for the Four Seasons, I mean that was just my points. I have a lot of Four Seasons points.
Yeah.
So I was able to put the gang all up in the Four Seasons, which is exactly where we stayed. But that was miserable, wasn't it?
Oh, the bus, yeah. It absolutely sucked because number one, you're driving from Boston to Houston, and even though you're never behind the wheel, it's like being on a flight that lasts for 6 days. Imagine like a 6-day flight. And, yeah, a couple of times a day you'd be able to get out of the bus. But it's like you get out to go inside Chick-fil-A and use the bathroom and get something to eat and then get back on the bus.
And you can't take dumps on the bus.
That was the rule. No taking, no number 2 on the bus.
That
sucks.
And so, did you go into like Flying J's and stuff? You would probably be in the middle of
you know what?
Because a bus can't just pull in anywhere.
You know what pissed me off? Really, the drivers. One of them was a real dick. He was just. I mean, you would think you would get into the habit of being up at odd hours and having to deal with people, and we were like. It was like me and Jim Murray and the nice people from the Patriots staffers. And they were telling us like all the rules and all the stuff that we had to do and how somebody was being really rude about watching something on their phone with the audio turned up while one of the other drivers was trying to sleep. Like, what happens when you have a band on this bus? Are they well behaved? Do they follow all the bus rules?
I mean, think of all the models Leonard Skinner probably had on that thing back in the 2010s.
But this is what pissed me off. We weren't stopping in hotels. We stopped in one hotel in New Orleans where we got to have beds and sleep for the night. The rest of it was just spent driving, and you had to sleep in your bunk. We noticed that the bus was not moving. You kind of come out of a sleep and you're like, oh, it must be getting gas or something. I was curled up in this coffin. And these bunks that you sleep in, they are like coffins. There's not enough room to sit up. There's just enough room to crawl into it because they're stacked 3 high on, each side of this hallway walking down the bus. And then I try and go back to sleep. And then I realize, God, we've been stopped for a really long time. The drivers decided they were tired and they stopped at a hotel, parked the bus in the parking lot, went in and got a room and left us all on the bus. I'm like, you mother effers. Had you told me that we were going to stop at a hotel, we all would have got rooms. We all would have got in, I don't know, maybe taken a shower. But instead, they're really good about it. When they came out, bellies full from their continental breakfast and a good night's sleep, and they said, hey, we haven't checked out of the room yet. If you guys want to take turns taking showers in our motel room,
if you want to sit in our filth.
I'm like, oh, you a-holes.
My God.
Those guys suck.
Now, did you end up becoming really good friends with Jim Murray? Did you guys end up? You would think that you would get very close because you're spending all that time in close quarters.
No, and I told Jim this to his face, and I would tell him again if you were sitting right here. It's like traveling with a child because he has to have things a certain way. He can't just get a chicken sandwich from a fast food place unless he has his special hot sauce to put on it.
Oh.
And, we were trying to get this bit done. We were trying to, shoot something. I can't remember where we were. It was probably New Orleans. And we were walking across because we had to, of course, stop at, the Gillette Center there because Gillette was one of the sponsors and do all this. It's like, I have to use the bathroom. I have to piss so bad. I have to go to the bathroom. But I'm like, dude, every one of us has to do something right now. We have to go to the bathroom. We have to eat. We have to sleep. We have to throw up. We have to kill ourselves. But right now, what we have to go do is get a video of us eating beignets in New Orleans. So we're not going to stop everything so that you can go to the bathroom. But you know what we did? I stopped everything so he could go to the bathroom.
So did you I know you don't now, but at the end of the trip, did you hate him?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. But
you
I
just wanted to be away from him for a long time. So you can understand why bands would not get along after being on the road.
Yeah, and it's like you find out, it's like, oh, well, it's like I like Jim. I hang out with Jim, and that's fine. But it's like I know I could never, like, go travel with him.
Right.
It's just one of those things. But you asked if my wife...
How many scally caps does he bring on the road? Is it just one scally cap, or is it like, does he have like 100 scally caps?
It's his thing, man.
He had a scally cap on. If you don't know, Jim's bald is a coup.
But he always wears a scally, and I respect it. He doesn't come off it. They were like in a nice restaurant in Las Vegas. He's like, I'm wearing my hat.
Yeah.
He always wears the hat. Good for him.
He's just like, I'm just going to wear this scally cap wherever I go.
But my point was this, Fred. I had already been gone for a week. I was going to be gone for another week. And I told Marcy, I'm like, why don't you fly out to Houston? I have the hotel room ready to go. I'll find his tickets to the game. She had been maybe to a couple of Patriots games, but she grew up in Nebraska, so she never went to NFL games. I'm like, there's a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So she flew out, and we went to the game.
Nice. And did you enjoy it?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I hadn't seen her in a couple of weeks at that point.
Do you think Felger's in a codependent relationship where he has to have his wife out there or he feels unsafe?
Oh, yes, I've thought that many times. No, I don't.
You haven't thought that she goes out to every Super Bowl every year?
I think my guess is that Felger probably travels pretty well when it comes to accommodations, and his wife would like to partake of those things.
No, but you would think that you spend so much time with your wife, you travel with your wife probably. I mean, he makes a good living. He travels with her probably a few times a year. Like, when your dad went on business trips, did he bring your mom?
My dad never went on business trips.
When your dad went on business trips, John, did he bring your mom?
No.
Like, that was not, like, it's just weird, kind of weird, right? To bring your wife on every business trip you go on?
Yeah, on every business trip. That's very strange. But
he goes on one a year.
That's the thing.
No, but I know, but that's even more so. I suppose, like, if you went, like, often and they were like, hey, like, the sales conference is in Hawaii, you would go. But, like, she's been to, like, Indianapolis.
I guess it is a little strange that we look at this as being so commonplace. It would be odd if she wasn't there. You know? So maybe that is the...
Oh, so it's like that now that they're in the habit of her going to all of them?
I'm going to have to...
Because they go every year. Yeah. Remember, they don't just go when the Patriots are in. They go every year. So we've been a station since 2009. So since 2010, they've gone every single year.
Maybe they're lucky to
That's
be
15 years.
Maybe they're both lucky to be married to their best friends.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Did you take your best friend on your business trips? I'm just wondering.
Just that once to Houston.
I'm wondering. Touche.
John, when we went to Vegas last year, did you bring your best friend?
Yes, I did. My wife came out to Vegas with us.
But that was that. But I'll give John. That's different because you guys planned that trip to Vegas to go to Vegas.
Exactly, with significant others.
Yeah, yes. and also that you guys put that together because there was such a rock star partier on the show that needed to go. That's why you guys put that together.
And that wasn't a work trip. I was just bitching to Wallach about that a few minutes ago. I'm like, you guys went out there and got the company to pay for a bunch of it, and you didn't do anything work-wise. You sat in for one segment while I was out there actually
were you pissed at him?
On a personal trip. On a personal trip. And they're like, hey, Hardy, can you host a 4-hour show in the middle of a sports book on the Saturday and move your flight? I was flying out. I had my flight booked
I didn't know
leave.
That.
I wasn't even staying for the game.
I didn't know that.
I was just going out to Vegas to play golf and hang.
All right, so I like this. So, all right, you got to explain better. All right, so Rich, John, and Dan, I could have gone too, but I didn't want to go out to Vegas.
The invitation went to everybody.
The invitation went to everyone. I was invited.
Of course you were.
And so I didn't want to go. So but Hardy lived in Vegas and stuff. So part of the deal, John, was that you guys were going to have to broadcast the day before the Super Bowl.
On Saturday afternoon in the hotel we were staying at. We were at the Wynn.
Oh, it's a Patriots game, right?
It was a Patriots game in Las Vegas. There was a broadcast on the Saturday afternoon in the hotel we were staying at.
Okay, so Hardy and I are friends, and we have been friends, and we've hung out socially. But I don't really talk to anyone on the phone that often. I just don't. I just don't. But so you got to remember, Hardy doesn't call me a lot. So so John and Rich, but basically Rich is supposed to be on with Hardy, and it's supposed to be a 4-hour broadcast from this hotel. And I get this call from Hardy, and he's like, that prick. He's like, that mother effer,
I
that
had
lazy
no
mother
idea
effer.
this happened.
Oh, I never told you?
No, you never told me.
And it was
I
probably
never was
plural.
alone.
I probably included Wallach. It was probably plural.
It was, you did not include Wallach at all, because I don't think you expected Wallach to do all that. Like, and he's like, Rich showed up. He's supposed to do this broadcast with me, and he showed up, and he sat there for like a segment, and then he like wandered off, and I'm like, now I got to carry this whole like 3.5 hours of radio, and I'm not even supposed to be doing this.
I wasn't. I had booked the trip for that week because we foolishly assumed there would be a big station event out there. Like the whole midday show, we're like, I bet they're going to send us to Vegas that week, to be with the Patriots and all that stuff. They didn't. I'm like, well, screw it. I'm still going. And I went and played golf. I'm leaving on Saturday. Like, no, we need you to stay and do this broadcast. So I changed it to a red eye back, and I'm sitting there, and you guys showed up for like
Not me.
The first or second segment, Wallach, you and Rich, and then screwed. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just fill the next 3 hours.
He was so mad. So he doesn't call me very often. He called me from Vegas.
I had no.
And he goes, "What is up with that mother effer? Like, what the hell? What this psycho comes in and walks away?"
Yeah, no.
Oh!
Did I say?
You were so mad, Hardy. I'm not even saying you didn't like him.
Oh,
but
no.
I am saying that you were mad.
Well, I was
mad, and you have every right to be mad.
Yeah,
I would have been furious
because for I don't know, a couple of decades, I was suckling hind teat around here, and I was out there on my own dime, changing flights, moving stuff around in order to accommodate. Trying to be a good guy. Yes, I'll host this show, and we did have a couple of guests come by. It's like. We had Edelman.
Yeah, but that pissed you off even more.
And Zoe came in and sat in with Bledsoe. That was another guest that we had. But for the most part, it was like it's working in the middle of the freaking sports bar.
I didn't say you were wrong. I'm just saying I did. Like it's not like Hardy called. I talk to Hardy all the time now, but at the time it's not like I talked to him on the phone that often. Angry, very angry.
Yeah, I was angry.
All right. Well, listen. Michael Hurley is going to join us. Michael Hurley's always angry.
Yes.
He's angry at Roger Goodell. Even when the Patriots...
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Award-winning movies often have incredible soundtracks, and many of those have gone on to become country gold. We've picked our top 5 country songs that have been nominated for an Oscar. Text Oscar to 45911 to see if your favorite made the list on BackstageCountry.com. Text Oscar to 45911 and we'll send the link straight to your phone.
Winning titles. He gets mad at Roger Goodell.
Hurl, baby, hurl.
We will have that for you in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
It's Dan O'Brien here for DraftKings.
What are you talking about, Dan? And that was that.
Yeah, you were just like
I don't think he follows me, so he was. Jeez. I don't know. He was just saw and really got pissed at me. I don't know.
So he thought you were. I wonder what he thought you were insinuating. Like, isn't that odd? Like, I don't know what
yeah.
He. Like, how does that fit? Like some kind of narrative? Like,
I really don't know. Like, I don't know. I guess I get bothered by bad officiating more often than like the average guy, and so whenever I tweet it out, like, there's always like that where it gets twisted and like, oh yeah, that's why the loss. I was like, no, but I would like the
no, but it was a legitimate
here.
story that there was a tremendous pass interference call that wasn't called, and yeah, it most likely didn't decide the game, but it was it was a blown call. All right,
right. Like Lamar threw a interception into triple coverage in the end zone. Like we're not saying the refs screwed them. We're just saying the refs are bad.
Yeah,
2 separate stories.
One of my favorite stories to tell, and you've heard it a million times because it involves you, is that
I know what this is going to be
during the Deflate. Well, it's just real quick during the Deflategate saga. We were at the Super Bowl and we ran into Michael Hurley while Roger Goodell was about to speak, and he had Michael Hurley had a legal pad, those yellow legal pads with a manifesto of a question that he was going to ask.
Lines, arrows.
Yeah, exactly. Like it filled up.
You laugh. It was close.
It filled up like, whatever. I don't want to exaggerate, but a lot of the legal pad. And and you didn't get a chance to answer my question that day, but what are you feeling about Goodell nowadays? What are your feelings on him as time moves on since Deflategate?
Yeah, well, he won. He won big time. He's making whatever $60 million a year to go up there and be a stuffed suit once a year. I don't know if you caught what he did this year. Managed to hold his press conference on Monday before media night on an invite-only basis.
Yeah. So what was the deal with that? What's?
I read your 10,000 words on it.
Yeah,
baby.
But what? Why this year? Right? Like what's controversial this year, Michael?
Yeah, I mean the Vegas and the betting probably they wanted to limit, but you've I don't know if you guys have been to those press conferences. They're a sham anyway. You can't just ask Roger Goodell a question. They come up, if you have your hand raised, they look at you, they check your credentials, see where you're from. They get on a little earpiece like the Secret Service in their wrist, and sometimes they come back. They know what questions they're getting, like 90% of them anyway. So to cut it down to invite only, I think was absurd. I don't know. Maybe also last year, Jim Trotter from NFL Network pushed Roger on the lack of diversity at NFL media for the second straight year. And then 4 months later was, part of massive layoffs there. So I don't know if they were trying to avoid that, but he didn't avoid that question either because a reporter ended up asking him about it anyway. So just typical Roger Goodell. It's to be afraid of media members is a special level of pathetic.
Okay, so bringing it back to the Patriots here for a moment. And by the way, Michael, I have to say, I'm very impressed with the amount of work that you put out. Scrolling through just the stuff that you've written this week, you are, dare I say, prolific.
Wow.
In the amount of just content, Fred. The guy's a content monster.
Well, you don't get the CBS gigs if you are screwing around.
But
you got to churn.
You've written about the Patriots and the staffing. Just how are you feeling generally about the way things are coming together, whether it's at the GM or should I say lack of an official GM position, the offensive coordinator and the hirings that have taken place. As a true footy pajama wearing Patriots fan, how are you feeling about the way the team is being constructed?
Well, I would say I like Elliott Wolf running the team better than Matt Groh, just because I don't know what Elliott Wolf is going to do, and Matt Groh has done nothing to impress me over the past couple of years. Coaching staff, it seems like they're building toward not a repeat of last year, but the defensive coaching staff looks like it's going to be fine. The offensive coaching staff, I understand we're going to have to judge these guys when it comes to it, but it's February and we have to look at it now. I don't know. Anytime Ben McAdoo is involved.
Yeah, you seem pretty psyched about that. You had a great.
That was just a stat too.
Yeah, I know, but it was a great stat. You went over his offensive credentials over the past few seasons.
Yeah, they've, with the Giants and with the Panthers, they've ranked 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 32nd in all in points and yards. And that's not entirely Ben McAdoo's fault, but he's a guy that, if you're being honest, if you polled Patriots fans a week ago before his name popped, or 2 weeks ago before his name popped up, and asked, what do you think of Ben McAdoo? They'd say, oh, that guy that drove the Giants into the ground after taking over for Tom Coughlin, he's the joke. He has an opportunity to prove doubters like myself wrong. I'll give him that, but I would say it's an eyebrow raiser, to say the least.
Okay, what do you make of the way Gerard Mayo has filled out this staff? Like, where do you think Van Pelt was on in the ranking of candidates for offensive coordinator? Like, was because they hired Van Pelt, did they feel like they needed to bring in McAdoo? Because I don't believe Van Pelt has play calling experience.
No, right.
So, and McAdoo obviously was a head coach, and McAdoo has play calling experience. Do you think I've heard this narrative? Do you think that Mayo, because Mayo knew he was getting this job, would come out that Mayo had a $10 million buyout if he didn't get the job? Like, Mayo knew eventually he was getting the job. Whatever, he absolutely knew, but he had to. Do you feel he didn't do enough just at first glance at kind of feeling out who he'd want to work with, the kind of coordinators he'd want to work with, or did people turn the job down, and he was forced to kind of go lower in the hiring process?
I think it's probably a little of both, but I would look at the first part of that and say there's an element where, you're still working under Bill Belichick, who drafted you, coached you, brought you out of your, corporate job to join your coaching staff, groomed you to become a coach, and now you're taking his job. I think there's an element where you couldn't do active recruiting.
No.
Staff.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying with that.
But mentally, maybe having
you're breaking down film. You're a defensive whatever. Let's say coordinator, just for the sake of brevity. You're a defensive coordinator. You're like familiar with offensive tendencies. I'm sure you watch film and go, "Wow, this guy seems really on the ball." You could ask around like behind the scenes. I know what you're saying. Like you can't.
Yeah.
You're not going up to guys and going like, "Hey, dude, I might be getting this gig." Like right. But you would have more of an idea. I'm just asking. Do you think that? Just at first glance, maybe it seems like Mayo wasn't overly prepared to hire that staff.
Yeah, and especially with, I'm not saying Bill O'Brien did a good job at all last year. I think he did a horrible job, but he was on staff, so to immediately move on, you'd think there'd be plan A, B, and C, and it looks like they ended up with plan G. So certainly it's not a well-oiled transition. I think it could have been a lot better. And to that point, you can't go around saying, "Hey, I might be getting this job. Would you be interested?" But you got to know who would be and who wouldn't be with your friends, with your colleagues, with your competitors, whoever you've grown close to over the years. That part, I think, was certainly lacking offense. Again, defensive coaching staff is looking solid. Offense is looking question marks.
Considering how poorly this team played last year, Michael, 4 wins, do you think it was wiser to blow everybody out of there, pay Mayo the $10 million, buy him out, cut him loose, and start over from scratch, new front office, new coaching staff?
I want to say yes, but based on, I don't know who would be driving those decisions. I think they needed people to start driving the new decisions. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could have blown out the front office and blown out the coaching staff, and then who's running it? Who's making those decisions? So while I get that, Elliot Wolf maybe getting the de facto GM job just by being there isn't the best process, I think it's maybe better than completely starting over. And again, you mentioned the 4 wins there. I think that's the biggest thing we all have to remember is people are saying, "Oh, you thought it was bad with Bill. Everyone needed to get Bill out." Bill won 4 games last year, so massive sweeping changes are needed, and it's going to take a while. I don't look at this team. I don't think, last year going into the year, there were some of us that said 8 wins, 9 wins. Some said 10. I don't think anyone will be doing that this year. I think there's a lot of work to be done before we can start looking at them as a team like that.
I'm just interested in your opinion on this because I think it's an interesting story. Steve Belichick taking the defensive coordinator position at Washington. What are your feelings on that?
I think staying here and working under Gerard would be tough. Because those two guys seem to be peers. Even though we don't know the ins and outs, I think we can, generally say they worked shoulder to shoulder. They had different strengths. I think Gerard Mayo could address a team better than Steve Belichick could. Maybe Steve Belichick understands the X's and as well as Gerard Mayo. Maybe better, I doubt it. But he certainly understands it well enough to do the work. So I think to continue in that role, and there is an element of Bill Belichick never giving titles to those two that I think had to change, and I understand the desire to move on. And if my last name's Belichick and I think I'm a good coach, I'm going to get out of here because that's always going to be hovering over you as long as you coach here.
I agree. I think it's a great move by him. I think that even getting out of the NFL for a while, going as far away as possible, going to a great program and being able to reinvent yourself. And I mean, no one can accuse any success he has at Washington in any way, shape, or form with anything his father's currently doing. Like, right. I mean, obviously he got into coaching because of his father.
And Jed Fish worked for his dad. Can I tell you a quick Steve Belichick funny story?
Yeah, but that's a long way to go. But go ahead.
Media night, the Rams game, the Super Bowl. I was just asking everyone where they were the last time the Patriots played the Rams in the Super Bowl. Very captivating story. Everyone loved it. Rave reviews.
I'm interviewing. We were just talking about it the other day.
Yeah, it's an annual. It's celebrated every year around this time. But I was going around asking everyone. It was basic. And so I go to Steve Belichick. I'm like, hey, so you were probably at that game, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, cool. How old were you? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, you don't know how old you were? It was 17 years ago. He's like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, all right, cool, thanks, Steve. Like that was his
Perfect. He's going to kill him in recruiting.
He's a
His dad won
charmer.
the Super Bowl. He was like 15 years old, whatever it was, and that was what I got. I was like, thank you for your time, young man.
Well, he's an adult with an ironic mullet, so it's a whole situation with him.
You guys may all be right on this. I'm the one outlier who thinks like, no, I think you should have stuck around. I think you should have tried to be a defensive coordinator, even if it was going to be under Gerard Mayo. Bill is left, so while you're still with the Patriots, no one can accuse you of having your job protected by your father anymore. And Wallach just said it as a joke. It's like, good luck recruiting. But seriously, now he's going to go to college and he's going to have to try and relate to people in an organization where he's not known and nobody is already aware of his.
They're college kids, though, and it's much easier with college kids. And how much recruiting is he going to do? They got guys that, that the team's got their recruiting guys and the guys that are like good at it, and those are the guys that go out and do it.
But he has to relate to new people that he hasn't related to before. And
I know, but they're kids, how many kids per year go pro in Washington, or how many kids currently on the program do you think will go play NFL football? Like 3, 4?
Yeah.
So, like,
you get there's a way to sell it without having him interact.
You're dealing
here's
with
a former NFL assistant coach who called plays. He's our defensive coordinator. Come play for him.
And there's 90 kids that are there basically for fun. So, like, I mean, they should listen to you. It should be easier for him to relate to a college kid than a professional athlete who knows he only got his job because of his dad. But what do I know? I know that Michael Hurley is a champion of the people. He writes for CBS Boston. .com. Read his stuff right now. Thank you, Michael. Go take your kids to school.
Thank you. Super Bowl Sunday. Let's see what tweet beefs arise. We never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
We fit so many pencils in his hair, but even more Q-tips in his afro. So you got that on hhim.
Boom. Owned. All right, I got to go.
All right, go
See
drive your children. All right, we'll be back. Hardy is so fired up by the Super Bowl. He's made no secret of that. He is going to even get you more revved up for the big game. Here are the headlines.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Wondering who made our list of the top 5 all-time queens of country music? Did Carrie Underwood make the cut? Find out now when you text Queens to 45911 and scroll through the list on BackstageCountry.com. Text Queens to 45911 to see the talented artists who rounded out our top 5 list.
One has no idea he's awake.
And it's not much of a surprise.
The other is just realizing what it takes to get up at 4:30.
Do I need to be here?
It's Toucher and Hardy.
Shows you how together this whole operation is.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I ain't got too much to say. It's the Super Bowl. We're going to win that bitch. Super Bowl.
Hi, this hour of Toucher and Hardy is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Coming up, we'll have everything you need for Valentine's Day. All the songs you'll need for your ladies. Plus, Rich Voss is going to be in studio. Bert Breer joins us from Vegas for the entire 9 o'clock hour. But, I mean, you can't get Hardy to shut up. He's got Super Bowl fever. He's at a fever pitch.
Oh, my God.
Today's almost the toughest day for him.
It is. Tomorrow I start ramping up, and I start with the pre-party, and I get nuts. I mean, I go full blown, like 25 glasses of soda, Wallach style. Well done. I get
two of you guys.
I get so fired up, and I just can't. I can't help but be a little bit jealous of the people who are actually partying in Las Vegas. And if you want to talk about the party of all parties, it has to be the one that presumably will be thrown by Taylor Swift and her boyfriend Travis Kelce. Now, this is from TMZ, and there is a certain promoter who has intimate knowledge of where they're staying and what they might be doing, win or lose, but win.
They're at the Hooters Casino.
Win, Fred. Logan Paulson is a Las Vegas promoter. And according to him and a few other people, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are renting a villa next to the Chiefs team hotel. the Westin Las Vegas Resort and Spa.
Yeah, they're saying the Westin.
So I don't know from the Westin. Do you know? Is that
you don't know Westin Hotels?
No, the one in Las Vegas.
Well, I do. I mean, I've made it a point. It's like, some people go to every baseball park. I go to every Westin. Okay. So far, I've been to 750 of them.
Okay. Well, this promoter in Las Vegas, his girlfriend is one of Taylor's backup dancers.
Oh, so I bet she ain't too hard on the eyes.
He's got intimate knowledge. So he knows a lot about what's going on with her and with Taylor. And apparently, if you want to get in on the official public post-game party, look toward a club called Excess at Wynn, because that has been the gathering spot for many people in a post-game celebration. Obviously not right after the game. This is where teams tend to fly and go to when the championship is held in other cities, as virtually every other one has been. But that's where you can look. But there should be some kind of a house party taking place at the villa that they are renting there at the Westin between Travis and Taylor.
What's the name of the club that they might be having?
XS.
Oh,
XS.
I call that the Old Country Buffet. I go back for a fourth.
Hey, just don't even wear the belt, because you're going to be loosening.
No, I wear stretch pants. Just like when I go to the strip club, I wear Umbros, no underwear. Like a real cool guy. That was actually like the advice in college.
That
when
was
we
the
went
thing.
to Mons Venus was to wear Umbros with no underwear.
You've told that story before.
Yeah,
yes.
the friction dances.
Yes.
Yeah, I never, to be honest with you, I never did it. I would have felt too awkward, but I have friends who did. They were just like, what are you wearing to the club tonight? Oh, well, I'm wearing Umbros with no underwear. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's like, wow, it doesn't take you much. Just, I mean, this is gonna do it for you, huh? I could sit there all night and just be like, no, not happening.
I don't understand that.
I don't either. It's a blessing and a curse.
Also, some Chiefs news. I don't know if you guys heard that Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, is going to be in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Why?
What? Because she's a...
She is?
Hell yeah, Wallace.
Okay.
They're doing one on average-looking women that married rich guys.
We're lucky enough to meet them in high school.
Yeah, it's Jeff Bezos' his first wife. It's a whole situation.
Jesus.
Las Vegas largely not on the map before this Super Bowl. People just knew a few things about it. Few people have been. They really don't know what's going on there. But one of the few things they know.
As soon as Joey, the comedian, the Rat Packer, Joey died.
Joey Bishop. Yeah.
Joey Bishop died. I was like, what do I know from Vegas?
Yeah, but people do know a little bit if they watch Pawn Stars, which is about the gold and silver pawn shop there in a very not nice part of town.
Reality television.
Go north of the strip, so to speak. Stay on Las Vegas Boulevard as you're approaching downtown Las Vegas and Fremont area. You will see the gold and silver pawn shop. I went in there once. It's nothing like you see on the TV. And Rick Harrison and his crew are looking to make some extra money this week, not just from people being in town, but by hawking something that they always have in stock, and those are Super Bowl rings. So these are from a variety of Super Bowls and a variety of sources. Right now, they have a New York Giants Super Bowl ring from 2007. We all remember that one.
Yeah.
This is from a staffer. This is not even from a player. $77,500.
Can I tell you that this is for the newspaper? There's no way. Those rings don't go for nearly as much as you think they would. They're in especially ones. I actually know this. Unless it's someone unless it was one for like a star player,
right?
You'd be surprised how little they're worth, because at a certain point they just become what's they're worth in terms of the jewelry in them.
Yeah, you have a ring with someone else's name on it.
No, I understand that, but they're also the collectability of it is there's no collectability to it, because and I don't think the staffers, unless they're a major staffer, get the exact same ring as the players. Because I read this story too, I think it's BS. I don't think it's true. I think it's It's just like clickbait, and they might be asking that much for those at this point. I mean, everyone's watched Pawn Stars. It's so real. They know so much off the top of their heads. They're really brilliant. They had no idea any of it was coming in.
Right.
But, I mean, you've seen stuff. They're like, we have something from, like, the moon. And they'll be like, okay, like, remember, this was picked up by so-and-so on the moon.
Yeah.
I have documentation. Here's him holding it on the moon.
Right.
Like, this was on the moon. You would think that, like, anyone who loves space, and there's millions of people, would cherish something that didn't fall from Earth to the moon, was taken from the moon and brought down in the hands of a human.
Pretty cool.
Pretty big achievement. And they'll be like, that's $75.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like nothing is as much as it is unless they bring the cute bookseller lady in, and then sometimes you're surprised.
Well, they do have an explanation. They say Giants rings go for more. It's a bigger market.
I don't
for it.
believe that. No, I don't believe that at all. And in fact, the Giants have won multiple Super Bowls, so I find that to be even less so.
Well, they do have a Rams Super Bowl ring that
And
they
that's
are
at 10 cents.
that $20,000. That is,
Yeah, they're not going to get it. And whose ring is it?
they keep that information as secret as possible. They've had a Patriots ring there for years.
Do you remember the story?
And Rick from Pawn Stars he's never said who it belongs to.
Tully
People are-
Banta Kane.
You know who you should ask is
People
Chumley.
theorize.
He'd tell you because he's a big fatso. But I'll tell you this, real quick. Do you remember the big story that was like infamous about Bradshaw's backup? What was it? Bradshaw's backup?
Oh, God.
He was the starter for a while. Like he was supposed to be
Yeah.
better than Bradshaw, and he had drug problems, so he sold his ring. And now it's just like everyone would sell the ring. If I had a Super Bowl ring, I would be tempted to sell it. What are you going to do with it? Unless you're Lombardi and you wear him around like a jackass. All right. We will be back. When we come back, it is, you know, what's right around the corner is Valentine's Day, my mom's birthday, who's always been my sweet, sweet Valentine, my sweet mommy. And
A boy's best friend is his mother.
I know. Aren't mothers delightful? Mm-hmm. Aren't they magical? We will have some songs if you're looking to set the mood. Not with your mother, but maybe with a loved one that you want to, put yourself in. We'll have these songs for you coming.